Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Gabby U Show. I am your host, Gabby Udabor. So today I have my lovely friend, Christine Manukyan. And before we go deep in our discussion today, and I'm going to tell you guys some things about her. Dr. Christine Manukyan is a functional medicine practitioner, a business coach, an author, a speaker, top-rated storied podcast host, and mother of two. Prior to becoming an entrepreneur, she spent 13 years in corporate America as a clinical pharmacist with various leadership roles. After experiencing her own health transformation with functional medicine, losing 100 pounds and becoming a natural bodybuilding athlete and marathon runner, she found her true calling, empowering others to reach their health goals without pharmaceuticals. Dr. Christine has helped more than 300 clients transform their health. She is a frequent speaker on holistic lifestyle choices, creating a virtual business, founder and entrepreneur mindset, and creating multiple income streams. She's spoken in front of audiences numbering 15,000 or more and has been recognized globally for her entrepreneurial achievements and dedication. Her magazine features include Pharmacist Magazine for female pharmacist entrepreneurs, health and wellness publications, and she is a Brains Magazine executive contributor, including Brains 500 Global Recognition. In 2021, she's bringing a revolutionary product to the market as a startup partnered with the UC Berkeley Skydeck Accelerator and an Incubator. Dr. Christie is passionate about helping burnout medical professionals build and scale a profitable virtual practice to have more quality time with their loved ones, doing what fulfills their life. She believes everyone deserves a second chance to rewrite their story and become the best version of themselves. And here we go, Dr. Christine Manukyan. Welcome to the Gabby U Show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited and thrilled to be on your podcast. This is incredible. It's an honor to be spending the next couple of minutes with you. Thank you so much for giving me the voice on the platform to share my story in the hopes
Yes.
I get to inspire someone with what I'm about to share.
Yes. So, Christine, she's like I'd call her my coach, my cheerleader. She would be my life coach. She's always motivating me all the time. We kind of joke that maybe we are twins because we seem to have so much similarities in many things. We're both 40, and we just wanted to get
Fabulous.
to discover this life, what this life got to offer for us. So yeah, so glad to have known her for the last 1 year now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having
Yes.
fun.
But you'll be like, it's been 20 years I have known you.
Yep.
Awesome. So I would like to ask you some, I call it my icebreaker questions before we start going into more questions today. So one of the things I want to ask you first is, what is your favorite food? I love food, girl, and I like to know what my guests like too.
Oh my gosh. I love food. I love food. But one of my favorite foods is actually in the traditional Armenian food. It's called lamajun. So
Lamachou.
it's known as your Armenian version of pizza. So if you can
Oh.
imagine like pita bread with some ground beef, lots of seasoning, a little bit of tomato paste, no cheese or anything, but it's one of my go-to snacks slash food, especially when you're busy and you just want to grab something from the store and like, here you go, kiddo,
Oh.
our lunch or dinner. It's probably something I will not go a day without. And it goes very well when you're drinking with some
Mm.
yogurt drink. So pretty much yogurt and water, add some little salt, mix it up, and just kind of like a yogurt drink. Yeah, it's my go-to Armenian
Oh.
traditional go-to thing called lamajun. So
Oh, I'm here salivating. I'm just
yeah.
imagining. Maybe Gabby can create it.
Yeah, and you just
Yeah.
add some lemon to it too, just to add a little bit of spice, and it's just so delicious. easy to make too. You can have some fun with it, especially you making experimenting food. So yeah, I should definitely
Yes.
send you like a recipe. You can do it at home.
Yeah, we gotta get back on that recipe. I'm just salivating thinking about it. Wow, awesome. So the next question I want to ask you, what is your favorite quotes? We love
I've
our
had
quotes.
Yeah, I've had so many favorite quotes, but I feel
Mhm,
like you go through this transition in your life when certain quotes become your favorite because it
mhm,
resonates so much more with you. And literally, I found this quote last year because this is when I was, like many other folks in 2020, you're learning to pivot and you're learning to learn again about yourself and your life and what you should be doing. And this quote, when I read it, I literally stopped. I was like shaking because it spoke to my soul. And I'm going to read it so I don't mess it
mhm.
up, but it's
Okay.
by Paul Coelho. I hope I said his name right. It's spelled Coelho. Paul is his first name. And the quote is, maybe the journey is not so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you
Mm.
can be who you were meant to be in the first place. I get chills every time I see this because we are so brainwashed. Go to school, get married, have a job, like become this person. It's like everything is planned out for us. But then we hit our certain time in our age and you just like, is this it? Is this who I was supposed to be?
Mm.
And literally in the last few years, as I started my health transformation journey, which we'll talk about too, I had to learn unbecome the person I was before so we can make some room to become the person who I am now. I call myself your real life Wonder Woman, and we can talk more
Yes.
about that, where that comes from. Yeah.
Oh
I
my
love it.
goodness. Mm. Wow. I mean, you saying that too, I think I have seen myself. That's the verse you said, the quote. I think I can really relate to it. It's just that one of the things too for myself, you get to that level where I just like, wait a minute, why am I not doing this stuff? You feel like everybody's telling you what to do, and like, what do I really want? And that's thing of, it's like unbecoming, because all these years it feels like you are just somebody else. You take off that mask, like, no, we are not doing this anymore.
Yep.
Let's
And just
tap.
letting go, yeah, and
Yes.
letting go of the noise that's around us that's holding us back too,
Mm-hmm.
which was a huge part of my story too, because all these years I've been listening to everyone else who I should
Mm-hmm.
be, and decisions being made because of what they thought is the right thing for me, and kind of like suppressing my voice and who I
Yeah.
really wanted to be, because number one, I was uncertain of how this is going to turn out, but then also we have been kind of brainwashed just to listen to our peers, listen to our parents and our loved ones because they want the best for us, and sometimes
Mm.
we may not see things the right way, and we are quote unquote blind because we're not seeing the full picture. But you know what in
Yeah.
reality is, no, you are seeing the full picture. You know exactly where you're going, and it is okay to
Mm.
stop and, not settle for what you have going on in your life. It is okay to let go of the past, start fresh, rewrite your story, and have that comeback that you always wanted to and
Yeah.
deserve to have.
Absolutely. And I love it that you are out there, pushing this, letting, I know with your podcast, you are doing that a lot to talk about, let women share their story, just like we're doing here too. That gets me so excited when I see that, because I am all about women empowerment, women wellness, and this is part of it. Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely.
Lovely. So the next thing I want to ask you, Christine, I want you to share with me the key things that you felt has shaped you to be the woman you are today. I want you to share with me your struggles, your victory, just go all the way and tell us how you have become this woman today.
Yes, thank you. And I appreciate you asking this question because a lot of times, especially as women, we hold back because we're afraid of what we say, how we're going to be interpreted. And that was a huge part of my journey too. I always was ashamed to share my story because I was afraid how people gonna judge me and how they're gonna look at me. And I was born and raised in Yerevan, Armenia, and I came to the United States when I was 16 years old. So growing up as a female in Armenia, you're pretty much brainwashed of, you finish school at 16 actually. And after that, you may go to college, but even if you do go to college, your main goal is to become a wife and start having kids. God forbid you're 18 or 20-year old and you're still not married, you don't have kids. There's this stigma of like, oh, there's something wrong with her. Nobody wants to marry her. So here I am, 16 years old, graduating high school, and I was like, I'm not dating nobody. There's nobody like really I'm interested to. And start like thinking like, am I enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I, worthy of being loved? And just having that noise in me, because again, that's what we've been brainwashed, our grandparents and, our parents always telling us this is the path you need to choose. And it was just shortly after graduation is when we moved to the US. And now I came here still bringing the old mentality of, women don't have a voice. They're just known more of the caregiver. Yes, they're educated, but they just don't work. You have to take care of your kids and family first. God forbid you do something for yourself, because then you're going to be looked at being selfish. And it's not something you should be doing as a mother, especially a new first time mom. So I brought in a lot of that with me and trying to learn how to fit in this new world. Went back to high school. Of course, I was 16 years old, so I was 10th grade, and here I am trying to fit in. I barely speak the language. I have no friends. I have no family here, and trying to find that voice. But I was so shy of even like saying hello to people, because I was not ready to answer questions like, why do we come to the United States, or how are we doing financially? My family was very wealthy in Armenia. Like money was never an issue. As a matter of fact, like my grandparents had like so much money, we just didn't even know how to spend it. That's how I was grown up. And coming here to US and starting from scratch, and watching my mom have like 3 jobs and learning, going to school in the evenings to learn the language, and us living on this the welfare, paycheck to paycheck. I just had to hustle. So I was 16 years old and I said, here legally I can work. Guess what? I took my first job. I barely spoke the language, but it was my first time just saying I have to support my family. So I got into that mindset of I got to do something. Every little bit is going to help. So my first job here was working at Sears in the men's department, selling men's clothing, which I didn't really care too much. But again, it was a foot at the door, learning about who I can become in this process, and fast forward, like watching my career involved going into pharmacy school, doing a residency, and just really letting myself go as I was going through this like very intense training and education and stress, and always just putting myself as like last, like not eating healthy. And next thing you know, having my kiddos and back-to-back pregnancies, I was morbidly obese and I was extremely unhealthy. My cholesterol was out of control. My stress was out of control. And just because I had a high paid corporate job in the leadership position in the hospital, I was putting career first. And then also I was putting my family first because I was a new mom. And of course, like I was not taking care of myself. And I found myself in my doctor's office at the age of 35, listening to her saying like, here's your pill, go take this cholesterol medication, lowering medication. So otherwise the way you're going, you're going to have a heart attack by the time you turn 40. And when I learned that that's a reality potentially can happen to me, I stopped. I actually made a decision that moment that I'm not going to be a statistics. I'm not going to take this medication. I did not believe in, having medication just as a quick fix. And I said, this is the time. So I actually stepped down from my management position and became a clinical staff pharmacist. So I didn't have to have that extra burden of admin on my shoulders, being on call 24/7. And I started looking into other ways of healing my body, getting into rewriting my story too, because at that time I said my kids need to see the healthiest and best version of themselves. They deserve more. They should not be getting my leftovers, you know? And that's when I partnered with a health and wellness company, and I looked into holistic medicine, health and wellness from a different point of view, not as a pharmacist, but from like holistic point of view. And that's when I was really opened up my eyes of understanding there's so much more out there we just don't learn about in school.
Hmm.
And why is it that we don't learn about that in school? Because big pharma needs to make money. So there's a lot that goes behind of me accidentally falling into this entrepreneurship role, you know, as becoming a health coach and also helping, you know, a lot of people transform their health, but also learning to give people options so they don't have to settle. And that passion actually became even bigger, especially last year in 2020, when I made a decision to walk away from my corporate job and really build and scale my own functional medicine practice and being that voice as a clinician, giving people options. So I didn't want to be that clinician who's going to say, here's a pill for your cholesterol, versus saying, hey,
Mm.
maybe we should look at your diet. Maybe we should look into meditation to help you with stress and sleeping better. So your hormones are in balance. You're not like running around like crazy. And just really understanding like what I am passionate about to keep me going, and always remembering why I started my journey. My big why was not to become a statistics. As a matter of fact, I wanted to prove my doctor wrong, which I did. And I lost over 100 pounds. I started doing bodybuilding fitness shows again, like pushing myself to the next level. You know, I was on stage as Wonder Woman with a six pack, which is crazy to think about. Somebody
Yes.
with 100 pounds overweight has a six pack underneath, but it was all about food and nutrition. Yes, exercise too, but it was food and nutrition first. And for my 40th birthday last year, I ran the LA Marathon on March 8th, 2020, to celebrate International Women's Day. And you know what? We made history that day because the following day, the world stopped. Everything was on pause. Pandemic was real.
Mm.
Everyone was on lockdown. And there has to be a reason why I waited this long to run the last race of history before the pandemic, because now I have a story to tell and inspire other women too. Like, don't settle. You know, if you don't want something, you don't like something, number one, speak up. And number two, make a decision that you're worthy and you can accomplish your goals. It might take you longer time. It's okay. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Mm.
Take your time to get to your goals. Change your, you know, approach, how you're getting there, but don't change your goals. Stick true to your passion. And here I am, your real life Wonder Woman bestie. And I am just so passionate about, you know, just having that willingness to stop and pause and know what you can do and how you can recreate your story. I hope
Wow.
that is enough to
Oh,
give a little bit
oh
of
my
a
goodness.
conversation.
Oh, that is how great. I mean, you guys, I hope you are really listening to this story of Christine. Tells you the patience, the grit, not giving up, you know. And this, you sharing your story, people listening to this would know that, there is hope if you can just keep going. And it might take time, but you can get there. Don't change your goal. And it's just, part of enjoying the process. It's not easy, but everything that is happening for a reason. And sometimes some things happen, it's not fair. It sounds like it's not fair, but later on you will see that this is why it's preparing me for that next level. And this is one thing, that I just, as you were speaking, sharing your story, and I'm just looking at everything has been happening for a reason, for you to be where you are and still keep going, you know.
And sometimes
Hmm.
redirection, you know, the rejections are redirection. And maybe there is a reason why you were rejected in the first place. You know, before I became like functional medicine world and made that decision, like I applied for other internal jobs in my hospital because I was like, okay, I'm in a place that I can level up, kind of go back to
Yeah.
management, but not really. So I applied for several positions in my hospital that I've been in for the last 11 years, and I was rejected. And first I was like, what? This doesn't make sense. But then I realized if I was in that position, I would not have experienced that extreme burnout of saying like, this is it. I need to get the heck out of here from corporate slavery. And I'm going to let go of this, golden handcuffs that we always have. And we're just tied into this. And I was not excited about titles anymore. I had to understand, like, you know what? Those titles don't mean much anymore. If I'm not happy, I don't care. I have the highest title in my department, because initially that was exciting. That was sexy, coming out of residency, being in a top-notch hospital in Beverly Hills. Like, it was a sexy thing to say, I am a this and that in this hospital. Everybody was like, whoa, how did you get there? But after a certain time in your life, you realize like it's not important anymore. If you're not happy, just walk away. You never know what door is going to open and how many more opportunities you're going to create space for, because now you're dreaming again. You're living your life again, and you're not tied into anyone else's goals. It's all about you, baby. It's all about you.
And that's the thing is, talking about that too, when you share your dreams to people that they don't understand. This is one thing I have talked so much with my guests. We've discussed, like, it's your dream. And they will not understand it. But when it start coming to place and they start seeing, then they will now believe it. And so don't feel bad too much when people are not supporting your dream, because, hey, it's not their dream. It's yours.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people are not supporting us because they just don't know why we're doing that. Because we're also holding back and telling that part of the decision making why you want to do it. And we just go straight to, hey, I just spent, like, let's say $10,000 and I did something, without saying why you did that. You just go straight to the goal versus saying, like, this is what I need. This is why I need it. This is how our life is going to change as a family, as a couple. And this is why I'm investing now, so I can grow. I can have that freedom. I can have the financial freedom or the time freedom that we want. But sometimes we're just like, this is what I want. Okay, fine. Don't support me. Okay, I'm going to, like, now you're stepping into this argument mode versus actually having a conversation, which sometimes we forget to sit down and take a time off and have a real conversation with our loved ones. And so you don't know which way direction is going to go, the conversation, but thinking that should be part of the process. Not just saying this is what you want, more, and spending more time on saying why you need it and how it's going to impact their life. So it's not just about you, it's about them,
Yes. And sometimes too, you could probably share that and they would not probably still understand. And that is where having a community of like-minded people comes very important, so that you can keep going. Because if you don't have those support of your close friends or your family, then you might have to just look for that community where of women or friends, or doing similar stuff to you to keep you going. That is one thing a lot of people don't realize they need. It just like, okay, my family, because again, whatever business you're doing or whatever thing you're doing, a lot of the times your family, your friends are not your audience. They are not I don't know how to put it, your target audience. Is that the word, to say?
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
And that shouldn't be, because everybody has their own space and their own, like, gifts to give you, and that's okay. I don't think we should expect a lot from one person. I mean, we're all human.
Yes.
So respecting what they're known for or their gift is, and just saying, that's great, this is exactly what I need, but there's still a gap, and I'm going to go find someone who's going to help me with the gap to get me closer to where I need to go. And that's perfectly fine.
Yes, that's the thing that a lot of people are not getting. They get so down and just keep that dream away because, hey, my mama, my papa, my husband didn't support me, so it's probably not good. It's not gonna work. And unfortunately, it's not like that all the time. It's not that we shouldn't listen to them, but it's something we have to recognize, to find a community where you can get better support.
And that's where we turn into you and this incredible community that you've created. I mean, talk about community. You are rocking it, girlfriend. And I'm, like, so blessed to be part of your inner circle. And watching your own
Mhm.
growth too, and you're talking about me being a mentor, but like, yeah, you have the same effect on me too. So the feeling is mutual. So
Synergistic.
yes, do not underestimate the gifts that you're
Mm,
giving. Don't be too modest. Yes, it is okay to say I helped someone with X, Y, and Z. It is okay. There's,
mhm.
it's not like we're bragging about it. No, it is okay to give ourselves like, oh my gosh, I helped someone today. Celebrate that. Small or big wins. Like celebrate every little thing you do. Then you'll be so grateful when you have big wins to share.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what would you say? I know you're probably proud of a lot of things, but I want you to just tell me one thing that you are proud of today as a woman. If I wake you up in the middle of the night and ask you these questions, you will say that word.
I'm very proud of making decisions. I'm really good at making decisions and not overthinking it. I even if I'm 80% sure, but if I know my passion and my purpose is aligned to where I'm going, I will make that decision. I will make that investment. And I love to say that I have a Wonder Woman mindset because that really gives you that whole new level of being unstoppable and being this amazing badass chick who is able to change their own lives and other people as well. I love Kobe Bryant, and when everybody
Mm,
talks about Mamba mentality, that's what it is. But as a
mm,
female, and for me it resonates more of having Wonder Woman mindset and learning how to push through struggles and just really owning your life and your story and celebrating your struggles, because all these things that you've gone through in your life, it is preparing you for something bigger. We may not
mhm,
see it, we may not understand it, but trust me, there is a reason why you went through that. Part of my journey too, like, as I went through a lot of huge health transformation too, in losing all the weight. And I was just going through like huge, like physically, like my body changed completely. And when I made the decision to have a mommy makeover, but I was afraid of like being judged, so I didn't tell nobody I was going to go through the surgery. And guess what? That cost me my life because
mm,
I had internal bleeding. And the following day, I was in the OR, a couple of hours later, bleeding, praying for a second chance to live. And that is why I'm so passionate about telling women, own your story and don't be afraid of what people are going to say. If I open my mouth and then talk to other women who've gone through that, like a surgery, and I would have understood more of what I'm getting myself into. Maybe I would have waited a couple more months to get my body prepared for like crazy surgery. You know what I mean? But I was so ashamed to be vulnerable and sharing my story. And I said, nope, I cannot tell nobody. I can't really say that. And that cost me my life. I'm
mm,
grateful for God giving me that second chance to live again. And I am grateful for having that voice. And finally, after all these years later, like almost 4 years later, finding the strength in me to share that part of my story.
mm,
And that's why I started the podcast, for women to be vulnerable, share their story so they can let go of the stigma, because you never know whose life you're going to change by being vulnerable. And
mm,
I would say that's my superpower and something that I'm proud of, because it took a lot of guts to get to that point, and understanding that, it's not about me. I don't really care what people are going to think, but if I'm able to change one person's life, I did my job, you know?
awesome. Yeah, you see, that's one thing that you encourage me a lot that I like about you, which you mentioned, making that decision and just going for it. That is one thing it's something that empowers me and I love that about you.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, just talking about sharing the story, and it's not easy. And this is one thing that happened to me too, sharing that story of when I was little, having that sexual abuse. It was not something that, of course, my parents didn't want me to share the story. Some other people, and that's the thing. A lot of you that are listening today, you might have the story you want to share, but because you're thinking, what will people say and all that. And just like Christine said, she not sharing, like, want to keep all this thing to herself. Um, but the sharing of your story helps with healing. And just thinking about who else it can help. And it's amazing when you start sharing your story, you start seeing people coming out to thank you and tell you that you helped them. But you keep it to yourself, because in this life, being a 40-year-old woman now, I know that different things happen for a purpose. I have learned, even though no matter how difficult it might be, there is a reason behind it, and you can change that lemon to a lemonade. Yeah.
Yes, a yummy lemonade.
Yes, yummy. That's exactly right. You know. So, wow, that's awesome.
Thank
So,
you.
what would be some encouraging words before we round up this episode today? I want you to tell me some encouraging words you want to give to this woman listening to us today, or the women listening to us today.
One of the things I would say is always don't focus on like what's going to go wrong, just focus what's going to go right. And it's a huge mindset shift, because when you feel empowered, and even me, let's say, like deciding to run a marathon, and someone who's never run a 1 mile in her life, but here I am. The minute I saw the LA marathon falls on March 8th, the International Women's Day, like I just had this encouragement of like, I have to run this race. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to run like 26.2 miles, but I focused why I want to run it and taking one day at a time. I said, okay, I'm going to find a group. That's step one. And then I'm going to start training, committing to something day by day. Next thing I know, I'm like, holy moly. I had massive injury, massive knee injury, actually at mile 8 of the marathon day. I could barely walk. I was hopping, and this is mile 8. It was
Wow.
miserable experience, but I said, I don't care how long it's going to take me to cross that finish line. I'm going to cross that finish line, because I'm not focusing on, again, what's going to go wrong. What if, in 2 more miles I cannot even hop anymore? I don't know. But I was focusing of what's going to go right and how I'm going to cross that finish line. And I found that strength in me. I said, I got to push through. I got to push through, and then you see all these other runners and being surrounded by the community we're talking about. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in a better shape than the person next to them. Like, yes, I got this. I'm going to hop on
Mhm.
faster. I'm going to move faster. I'm going to walk a little bit more. Just taking one step at a time and not focusing on like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to get there? Just focus why you started your journey. And, as we're running, and I was actually like filming, I was trying to capture as many moments as I
Yes.
could. And there was this beautiful band that was playing at mile 20. It was like a huge celebration mob, because they said the minute you cross 20 miles, the rest is like, you're going to forget how the 26 is going to happen. And I was filming it and with my phone on, and I just heard someone say, Mama, Mama. And I'm like, why does that sound so familiar? I turned around, there's my family. They somehow found me, and my mom is there, my brother is there, my kids, my husband, my brother, and they're just like there cheering me on. And the minute I saw them, girl, I forgot about the pain I had. The next 6 miles, I don't even know how I got there. And, I had a goal of finishing the race in 6 hours. I crossed the finish line at 5 minutes, no, 2 minutes earlier. So at 5:58, I was like, oh my gosh, I even like beat my own goal. You know what I mean? So it was just so encouraging to like focusing your mind and your strength into what can go wrong. Don't like focus on that. Focus on what is going to go right and how your life is going to change. And ever since that experience, like you kind of you do become unstoppable, because making decisions does not become hard anymore. They don't scare you anymore. Because if like you're able to accomplish all these goals, you can accomplish any goal. It can be in a personal relationship too. We talked about marriage. We have arguments all day long, right? But then you learn how to pass through that. You learn how to learn from that experience, and you just say, you know what, okay, no, we're not gonna go sign a contract and like, okay, that's it, we're divorcing. Like, no, like you're gonna work through that. You're gonna figure out a way to make it work. And that's what life is all about. You'll always find a way to get to your destination. You just have to have the mindset, the Wonder Woman mindset, to keep going. And like you said, surround yourself with people who will be there to cheer you on, who will there to support you, so you do feel empowered and you push through. And And yeah, just stay true to your goals because you have many lives to change, and don't do anybody disservice. You have to show up for them too, you know?
Wow, that's amazing. I hope you guys are listening and writing this down. This is something you gotta play back again and listen to. Wow, that is awesome. This is the real Wonder Woman here.
Oh, thank you, my love. I appreciate you. I adore you so much. And
Yeah.
it is
You
just,
you helped me too. I did a little 5K around that time,
hmm
and she really encouraged me so much. She gave me these tips, me and my daughter. I think we eventually did it, although they canceled it, but we just did it locally on our own because of COVID. And but yeah, that is
but you
awesome.
did it. And now you
Yes.
have something to celebrate, especially you did
Yeah.
the first one with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Memories you will never forget. And yeah,
Yeah.
the day before the marathon, there was also 5K, and this was the warm up run before the big race. And guess what? My son was with me, so he
Oh.
also made history by running a 5K with me
Mm-hmm.
and really experiencing life before COVID. And it's fun when you have your loved ones and you inspire your own children to do
Oh
it
yeah.
with you, you know? And it's just something you'll never put a price tag on. There's nothing that will ever replace those memories we've created
Hmm.
because again, you made a decision to do your 5K and you just followed a plan. You just go for it, you know?
Yeah. And this is the thing too. Whatever we're doing for ourselves, it's benefiting the children. The children are watching. You know.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Awesome. So how can people connect with you, Wonder Woman?
I think the best way to get hold of me is on Instagram. You can
Mm.
find me at Christine Manukyan, but also my website too. I encourage everybody to understand what they want from life. And, I may not be the right person for you to talk right now moment, but if you are looking into transforming your health, your wealth, your mindset, grab that 15-minute conversation with me because you never know what's going to come out of my mouth because you never know what I'm going to share that will resonate so much with you. So feel free to grab that. And I will be so appreciative if you all subscribe to my podcast, Story Podcast on iTunes and Spotify. And it's spelled Storrie. It's spelled differently because, again, I'm a huge believer that everybody deserves a second chance to rewrite their story and become the best version of themselves. And that's my passion. That's my goal. I'm here to change. I committed myself changing 1 million lives, one conversation at a time. That's it. Putting it out on
Awesome.
universe.
Yes. Speak that out and it's gonna happen.
It's going to happen, Mama. It's going to
Yes.
happen.
Well, I'm gonna put all this. If you are listening to this on YouTube, it will be on the description area, and if it's on podcast audio, it will be on the show notes. So you guys make sure you check that out. And yeah,
Thank you so
wow.
much.
Thank you so much, Christine, for coming today. And we're gonna end this podcast with my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou that says, "When you know better, you do better." Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.